How y'all doing? Welcome back to another episode of Wiltfong's Whiparound on the 24/7 Sports Network. I'm your host today, Steve Wiltfong, and I'm joined by 24/7 Sports national analyst Cooper Patagna, who's extremely fired up about this weekend of college football, starting with two top 10 matchups. We have number 2 Georgia hosting number 8 Arkansas, and we have number 7 Cincinnati going on the road and playing at number 9 Notre Dame. And Cooper, big recruiting weekends at both places. Let's start with Notre Dame. The Irish have the number 2 recruiting class in the 2022 cycle. What do you love about what the Irish are doing right now?
Well, they've done a great job, especially on the defensive side. I think that's the Marcus Freeman effect. 12 of their 21 commits, defensive commits for the Irish. And we'll start at the top with Jalen Sneed, linebacker from Hilton Head in South Carolina. This is a guy who's versatile. He's played a little bit of edge, but he's going to be an off-ball linebacker for the Irish. They've done a great job in terms of adding to that with Joshua Burnham, the number 8 inside linebacker in the country as well. So position versatile guys. I think in the secondary, they've done a good job with Benjamin Morrison, Devin Moore. And really what you like about these guys, it's a complete class from top to bottom with Notre Dame. Brian Kelly, Marcus Freeman, Tommy Rees and company, done a really good job from the get-go for the Irish, getting all these guys in the boat. Really looking forward to seeing how these guys develop at the next level.
I feel like Jalen Sneed can be that physical, space-eating player on the second level. But Josh Burnham and Aiden Gobert are guys that I think could ultimately be bookend pass rushers for Notre Dame down the road. So much potential with Joshua Burnham at 6'4", 225 pounds. At one point played high school quarterback. He's a second-level defender, but just a massive frame. Guys at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly have a track record of really developing and getting a lot of mileage out of him. And you throw in another guy with a great frame and Nolan Ziegler. And then I think Devin Moore might be the steal of the class. Freaky athletic, 6'3", 190-pound defensive back with outstanding change of direction. We see some physicality on film. This class from top to bottom, as it should be, ranked number 2 nationally, is really, really good. And Notre Dame has the number 3 class nationally in 2023, and they're bringing in some elite guys this weekend on that in that class. Arguably the top receiver in the country, Carnell Tate's going to be there. Sonny Styles, who's maybe the best defensive player in the country. He's a linebacker. He's a safety. Maybe he grows into a defensive lineman like his dad. Who knows? He's got limitless potential. 5-star in-state linebacker Drake Bowen, one of the top corners in the country, Malik Muhammad, speedy, athletic receiver Jaylen Brown. If Carnell Tate's not the number 1 receiver in the country, Jaylen Brown's got a case to be made for it. Any of those guys pop for you regarding who Notre Dame's got on campus this weekend and would be a pivotal pickup for Coach Kelly and company?
Yeah, I think you mentioned the 2 names at the top, starting with Carnell Tate. He is dynamic as it comes. Playing at IMG Academy down in Bradenton, Florida. He's had a great year. That American Heritage game, the first game of the season, it certainly popped. He did a little bit of everything, certainly in the return game, and then made his presence felt as a receiver in yards after reception as well. So a really dynamic guy there. And then Sonny Styles, I mean, really about as clean as a player as you'll see. And what I mean by that, this is a guy who can do a lot of different things. We talk about position versatility, can play the deep hash, can come play close to the line of scrimmage, shows the ability to play man-to-man and really strong run support defender. So Sonny Styles, Carnell Tate, you talk about 2 guys that could have a day 1 impact at the next level, especially for Notre Dame. What a great job they've done this year, like we talked about, but the future looks bright as well, 2023 and beyond.
My 24/7 Sports crystal ball is on the Irish for Drake Bowen out of Maryville, Indiana, who's been to South Bend numerous times. Went to Clemson earlier this season, had a fantastic visit there. Going to go check out Auburn later in the season. Indiana and make some rounds at some of his other top schools. But Notre Dame definitely in a good position for Drake Bowen. I think Notre Dame could really land all of these guys, Cooper. Carnell Tate, my crystal ball is on Ohio State, but I don't feel as good about that pick as I did when I put it in. Notre Dame's done a great job there. Sonny Styles, his brother Lorenzo, is obviously a true freshman at Notre Dame. and Sonny Styles is a guy that Coach Freeman and company have targeted early, and he's certainly a personality fit at Notre Dame as they battle Ohio State, his dad's alma mater, and several others. And that's a family that, they let their kids do their own thing. It's their lives. The parents live their lives, and now it's up to the kids. And Lorenzo found his home at Notre Dame, and perhaps Sonny will too. Notre Dame's in a great spot for Malik Muhammad. They had him on campus this summer. They're getting the Lone Star State product up again, and he's one of the best corners I've seen in person in that class. He's a terrific cover guy, physical player that has all the traits you're looking for at the position. Georgia, they have the number 5 recruiting class in the country coming into this weekend, Cooper. You and Andrew Ivins kind of teamed up on a story about Georgia's defense moving forward beyond this year. This stout defense that Arkansas is going to see this weekend, it's not going away for a while, is it?
Yeah, starting with Malachi Starks, the number 7 player in the top 247, the number 1 athlete in the top 247 as well. So this is a guy similar to Sonny Styles, just an exceptional athlete, 10.55, 100-meter time, exceptional for his size, but really a guy that can do a lot of different things on the back end in terms of the way that Georgia will deploy him. Can be a guy that can play in the box, can also match up in man-to-man, and can play the deep pass. So really versatile defender in Malachi Starks. I don't know if you're going to find a legitimate better prospect in terms of the way that he looks from a physical standpoint. And then after that, Jalen Walker and CJ Washington, 2 top 10 linebackers in the top 247 in their position units. And Jalen Walker is a guy that I love in the top 50 in the top 247, but he can bang inside, really kind of fits the modern day NFL linebacker, shows the ability to play inside tackles, and then also has the perimeter range to play sideline to sideline. CJ Washington, really instinctive guy as well, fits really what Georgia is doing. And I think really with Walker, you get a second level pass rushers, similar to how they've used Nakobe Dean this year, which was really effective in their first game against Clemson. So Georgia continuing to stack to that defense, and what they've done already has been incredibly impressive under Kirby Smart. I don't see any signs of Georgia slowing down in the near future, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
One other thing that's super impressive about Malachi Starks and Jalen Walker Cooper is they are 2 of the more mature guys in this class. They're already grown-ups. They're going to be multi-year captains at Georgia if they're there long enough before the NFL comes calling. But they're incredibly mature. They're great leaders for their high school football teams, and those are the kind of guys that a team can rally around when you want a team-led football team. I think those are guys that are going to be immediate leaders for Georgia and fan favorites for that reason as well. I love the running back class that they have, Branson Robinson and Jordan James. I think you look at the best running back classes in the country, and people look up at Happy Valley with Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. But man, I would roll with Branson Robinson and Jordan James, 2 physical, dynamic type backs that can really hurt you between the tackles and have that play style that Del McGee and George is looking for. And like I gave you a sleeper in the Notre Dame class, the sleeper in this Georgia class is Dylan Bell out of Houston, Texas. Georgia had in camp, fell in love with him, offered him 6'2", 205 pounds, has a bunch of position flexibility if he wanted, but I think he's going to be a big, physical, yoked up receiver in that Anquan Bolden type role. That's going to be really, really good for Georgia. And Georgia, they're in the mix for the number 1 recruiting class still, Cooper. They're at number 5. But they have enough sauce on the board to make a run at number 1 for the 3rd time in the Kirby Smart era. Some guys visiting this weekend. Bear Alexander's top 2's Georgia and Texas A&M. The crystal ball's all Aggie. Don't buy that. Georgia's way in this one. He was at Georgia's opener against Clemson, and he's returning for his first game in Athens. Shamar Stewart out of South Florida is coming up. Miami is the crystal ball favorite. There's been some A&M juice there. There's been some Ohio State juice there. I think Georgia's got a real great chance of making a move. I love where Georgia stands with 5-star corner Jaheim Singletary. 5-star safety Kamari Wilson's taking his official visit. My crystal ball is on Georgia. I feel really good about that one. two other Michael Williams is a five-star defensive lineman committed to USC. The Dogs 247 insider Rusty Manziel reports will be on campus. I think Florida and Alabama are weighing that one. I think Georgia's certainly obviously on the list there. We'll see where they stand coming out of this weekend. And then in the 2023 class, LT Overton, our number one player, he was at the Georgia Clemson game early in the season. Jonel Aguero, who is as good a safety any class out of IMG Academy, he's a five-star. He's going to be there as well. And Georgia was the first school he mentioned when I asked who's recruiting him the hardest. And then Julian Humphrey takes his official. He's committed to Florida. But a source close to Julian told me he thinks Georgia's got the inside track. That's a lot of names, Cooper. Unpack it all. Who would be monstrous for Georgia?
Yeah, the rich get richer. I mean, you start with the defensive line. I think that's the identity of the Bulldogs team. But Michael Williams, you talk about him, committed to Southern California. Obviously, we know the situation going on at USC right now with Clay Helton out. We're going to monitor that closely. But from a standpoint of being one of the top pass rushers in the country, Georgia is going to continue to make him a priority. And you think about who they could add alongside of Michael. You talk about Shamar Stewart, you talk about Bear Alexander. I mean, I can imagine Michael Williams and Shamar Stewart, two of the best and most prolific pass rushers in the country. And really, Georgia's done a great job in terms of early identification, continuing to be persistent throughout the recruiting process, especially with some of these guys who have been committed throughout to other schools, Southern California, Florida, like you mentioned. So great job. I think it starts up front with Georgia. We've talked about what they've done at 22. With their front seven, especially the second level with their linebackers. But if they can get two out of those three guys between Alexander, Stewart, and Williams, they're going to be sitting pretty.
Well, for more on the big recruiting weekends at Georgia, Notre Dame, LSU's hosting a big one against Auburn at night. Alabama's got Ole Miss in town. Kentucky's got Florida in Lexington. We will have it all covered wall to wall at 24/7 Sports and on our team site. So stay tuned this weekend. Take care.